Speaking, this is going to be a session about tips and strategies for moving really hands-on heavy courses and programs into the online environment. I'm going to jump to the next slide here. Today's menu, you'll notice we have a lot of hospitality management themes today. We're going to go through some introductions, and Rodney Farrington, my co-host, is going to talk about the history and the future of the hospitality management program here at LC State. We're going to talk about our collaboration as instructional designer and faculty member in moving this program online. We'll share some tech tools and tips for project planning and building a template that can facilitate that process. We're also going to talk about student choice activities and the importance of those for hands-on classes and some tips for developing those kinds of things and tools. And then we will talk about Canvas tools for documenting student work when they're out in the field and doing those hands-on kinds of things. Then our last little piece will be the little to-go box where we'll just sort of wrap up and summarize what we went through. So let's jump into introductions. Who are we and why are we here? My name is Angela Meek, and I am the senior instructional designer at LC State. We're in Lewiston, Idaho. We're Lewis-Clark. There is a Lewis and Clark in Oregon. So that's kind of our running joke at conferences. We're the Lewis-Clark with the hyphen. We are in northern Idaho, and we typically have about 3,200 to 3,400 FTE in a non-COVID year. So not a huge school, but we are good at what we do here. And hospitality is one of our strong programs here at LC that's growing exponentially, as Rodney will discuss here in a minute. I have been with eLearning for a little over 11 years, and I am also the institution's Quality Matters representative. I've been working with QM since about 2012. So a lot of what you'll see in our course design work that we're going to show you today is Quality Matters based, which I also love Canvas's course design checklist that aligns with a lot of the Quality Matters stuff. So there's a lot of great crossover there. We are in Canvas, if I haven't already mentioned that, but of course this is all applicable to any LMS. All right, now I'd like to introduce my co-host, colleague, and good personal friend, Rodney Farrington. We'll have him jump on here and tell you about himself.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for having us. As Angela said, my name is Rodney Farrington. I am the professor of hospitality, travel and tourism, hospitality management at Lewis-Clark State College. I have been teaching for the last 6 years here at LCSC, and prior to that had no inclination whatsoever to be a professor in a college situation. I come from 40 years of industry in the event planning, food and beverage industry, and so I stumbled into, if you will, this wonderful opportunity, and I have found my new calling, if you will, after 40 years. So I've taken a program that was, in a sense, floundering a little bit. We had 2 students in the program when I started in 2016. And as of today, we've grown over 1,200%. And we are now piloting several pathways through my program. One is a new culinary arts program that will start in fall, as well as a hotel resort pathway and several other pathways to follow. So it's absolutely fantastic. Did I think that I could make a hands-on application class, very hands-on class, anywhere recognizable on a technology-based learning system? The answer, ladies and gentlemen, was no way at all. And after, in a sense, being told that I had to, and working with somebody as brilliant as Angela, was able to create what I feel, and I know that Angela feels the same way, an amazing example of how that can actually be done. And that's what we're going to be showing you today, some of the things that we've come up with.
Yes. So briefly, can you talk about the number of classes we're talking about? Because and a little bit about what you currently do in the classroom and maybe some key things we're moving online.
Sure. So the associates program that I run here at LCSC, hospitality management, consists of approximately 8 or 9 program classes in that associate's degree, those 8 or 9 programs have never been online. They're not actually conceived to be online. And now all of them have to be transferred to an online presence in some degree, whether that be a hybrid, whether that be partially online, theory online, hands-on, then applicable in other ways. And we'll show you how that is. But in my 2 pathways alone, there's over 16 classes that have to be translated to online. With the new culinary pathway coming on board, it's an additional 9 classes.
So we're talking a lot of things that need to be moved from the face-to-face environment only to online in a very short amount of time.
Correct.
So this is where the collaboration between people like myself and Rodney comes into play and is super important. I can't stress it enough how important it is for you faculty in the audience. If you have an instructional designer at your institution, if you haven't met them, if you haven't reached out to them with the ideas that you're struggling with, I would highly encourage that you do so. It's what we're here for. It's our job to know all these little tech tools and apps and things like what we're going to talk about today and what I'll show you today, so that when you, or in this case, Rodney, comes to you and says, Angela, this is the kind of thing I need to do in my online environment. How do I make that happen? Then we can work together to make those things happen. So,
and I have to tell you, it's imperative that you do that and you collaborate with the instructional designer, because I come from a world that really, we are enhanced by technology. There's a lot of technology that helps the hospitality, travel, and tourism industry be better at what they do. But to actually educate somebody through technology is not that easy. So for me to be able to, as an instructor, to go to Angela and say, hey, this is what I do in my live class. This is how I would like it to look in the online world. She was very, very imperative to make that happen. And those discussions were great, because there's a lot of, like I said earlier, if it's not a microwave or a blender, I'm really not sure how the technology works. So
I think it's safe to say that Rodney went from, if a scale of 1 to 10, and I love the idea of teaching online and using Canvas, you probably fell in the 1 to 2 range when we started working together.
I was closer to 0, but okay,
0.
1 to 2, yeah.
And I think he's definitely a solid
9.
Solid 9. Yeah, I guess it's difficult to be a 10, but yes, solid 9. So
right.
Honestly, I'm definitely not trying to toot my own horn, but that came about because of our collaboration and us working together, sharing ideas, him being open to and receptive to my knowledge with technology and the LMS, and then me being open and receptive to his content knowledge and his pedagogy knowledge. Pedagogy, that's such a difficult word to say. Pedagogy knowledge. So, all right, let's move into some tools that we utilized and that you can utilize if you are in a situation where you need to put a large number of courses online very quickly. And the first one we're going to look at, I'm going to name drop a lot of tools. This is definitely not a here's how to use those tools session, but these are tools that I feel are very intuitive and quick to learn. So if you hear me say something, you can, it's not going to have a steep learning curve, and most likely it's going to be free, because free stuff is always good in this day and age.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
Step 1, really quick, project planning, right? So we developed a template that all of Rodney's classes are going to utilize, and then he's of course going to customize the content and the teaching methods within that. But a tool that is super helpful for developing project planning. This can happen at the project level or the program level, where you're trying to decide the flow of the actual courses themselves, or in this case, this example shows how we sort of fleshed out a course so that we could discover and decide what those template elements would be. And this is a program called Mindomo, Mindomo. It's a Google integration tool. You can find it in the Google Workplace or just Googling the name Mindomo. The free account lets you have 3 mind maps and gives you access to probably 90% of the tools, which is another reason I like it. But it's just a really simple to use mind mapping tool. So here you can see in this example, we started out with an actual course. So here's the course, and then each of the elements in the mind map is going to translate to a module. So we have week 1. This course is set up to be 16 weeks, but you could use this tool to map out, 4-week modules or 6-week modules, or whatever, of course, that your institution utilizes for your teaching time frame. And then here we broke it down into introduction, lesson materials, assessments, and conclusion. These items are going to translate to our text headers within a module. And then these are the individual items. You can get as specific as you want. This has a great note-taking tool. So anything that's in your plan here, you can add detailed notes to, so you can spell out in more detail what this assignment is, whatever. And it's really easy to add sub items. You select something and you hit tab. So this is a great technology tool for getting that planning piece. And then this works its way into your template. I'm going to jump into the template that Rodney and I developed together, but I'm going to let him talk a little bit about the template and why he was open to a template, and sort of how we started with the LC state standard template, and then he customized it for his courses. Take it away.
So once I was, thank you, Angela.
Thank you very much.
Once I was convinced by mostly myself that this was something that I needed to conquer, if you will. I took a look at the template that was created for LC State, and I really liked the format. I liked how it was put together. The thing that I wanted to do was take ownership of that. So I literally took the Canvas how-to tutorial class twice. Yes, that is who I am. And then when, with Angela's permission, I deconstructed that template to fit more of the mindset of how I felt my hands-on courses would better fit into that template. So there are some adjustments that I made to the title pages, some adjustments that I made to the lesson materials that are put in there that fit better into what I needed to do. And that really is the beauty of Canvas, and the beauty of working with your designer is to understand the inner workings of that and be able to then manipulate and design that to fit your world. So I really, as I started working through that, I became a convert even more. So.
And sometimes the T word is sort of frowned upon, because there's this concern with instructors about, is this going to limit how I teach things? And I think Rodney has basically said, no, that's definitely not the case. You can take it and you can make it your own. The other advantage of having a template for an entire program that's moving online is you're building in that consistency for students, so that they are not having to relearn where everything is. How does this course work? What's the layout? What are things called? It's all going to be the same structure for them. So you're taking away that roadblock of figuring those things out. So this is the base template, a sample module from the base template. And then this is actually the template in Rodney's class. So we're going to see some similarities here, but the template lands on a home page. And the reason these normally go side by side, I have my screen zoomed in, so it's a little easier to see in this interface, but he's got nice images right on the home page that relate to the content. It has welcome and getting started information, course overview, about your instructor. If you're at all familiar with Quality Matters, these things should be checking boxes in your brain, or the Canvas checklist. These are all things that are part of those standards. Telling students where to go, how to get started, introducing yourself, those kinds of things. But these are going to be the same for all classes. Rodney's About Your Instructor page is going to be the same no matter what class it's in. So he doesn't have to reinvent the wheel by using this template. And then if we jump to the modules page.
And what I like too, Angela, if I may interrupt really quick,
sure, absolutely,
is the fact that once I get the basics in there that I am comfortable with replicating, when it comes to creating a new semester or a new class, or I want to integrate a new homework assignment or a project or something along those lines, everything is I can replicate it very fast and just change the certain information that I need to make it applicable to that semester. And I find that in itself very, very helpful. I've killed so many trees making my making my syllabi and my homework schedule and my project outline and it's really nice.
Oh, I should jump to your syllabus page now that you mentioned that. So the syllabus page also has the same kinds of items in it across courses. So when they hit the syllabus page, they'll see the actual downloadable syllabus, the homework schedule, project outline, the text sheet, and some other items that are relevant across courses because of the kinds of projects that they'll do. Then if we look in the modules, all those things on the homepage, they're in a welcome begin here module. So this is where you start. Course overview should look very QME to people who are familiar with that. You've got your measurable objectives in here for the course. And then within a module, I'm purposely skipping the intro module because that's a how to get started in the course focus.
To me,
Yes, so then this is the first real sort of textbook content-y related module. But here you can see he took those elements from the LC template and modified them a little bit. But we have placeholders for the overview and the to-do list. Again, this is where you're giving those specific and measurable learning objectives and telling the students exactly what they're going to be doing.
My students love that.
And then we have those subheadings, the lesson materials, the assessments, and then this piece, this is another template piece. So this is in every single module in every course, your introduction, your videos, main points. Some of these things are still being fleshed out. So if it looks like template text, that's why. And then the module wrap up and looking ahead is in every module as well. So this is where you say, this is what you should have taken away from this unit. And then here's what you need to do to move on, or looking ahead, here's what we're going to be doing in the next module. So it's all very Canvas course design / quality matters based with our template here.
Angela, can I give you some kudos here? Can we go back to the syllabi page really quick?
Oh, sure.
So what I like about this particular page for myself is I have students that are like, well, I didn't know that, or where's that information? Or I can't, I didn't have that template or that piece of paper. And I can always say, well, go look on the syllabi page. And throughout my course, that Canvas course that I've created, it's always referring to the syllabi page. So here they can find the syllabi, they can find the classroom homework schedule, they can find the project outline. And then Angela, here's a great example of me saying to Angela, hey, all of my courses are project-based assessment. So the student in this particular classroom has to create a menu from the ground up. I mean, they have to design the menu and present the menu, as well as a presentation of a restaurant design and kitchen design. Now, if that is an online course or a hybrid online course, how do they do that? Well, I told Angela that I needed that to be somewhat consistent. I don't want to tell the students exactly everything that they need to choose. I want them to have some choice, but the text sheet that we created really is a great narrative of how I would like them to submit their final project. And so it's collaborations like this that have really, again, opened my eyes to say, hey, there is a possibility of taking that hands-on concept and submitting it through an online technological premise. So,
and this is another QM thing and course design thing as well, that you're stating those technology requirements up front, and you're also giving students the resources that they might need if they're not familiar with how do I record PowerPoint? How do I upload to YouTube? We're a Google school, so the students can use YouTube to post videos. So that information is provided here if they don't know how to do it, with some reminder, hey, don't wait until the last week of the semester to learn how to do these things, right?
Right. Please schedule some time to meet with me. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So we've kind of already segued into this, but we're going to talk now about student choice assignments and sort of some tips and strategies, and what I think are the three biggest tools or steps to take when you are going to allow for a lot of student choice in your assignments. Rodney kind of already touched on this. One of them is the menu that they have to design. So it all has to start with your measurable outcomes, right? I don't think that's a shocker to anyone. You need to have your clearly defined measurable outcomes, and that's going to guide your assessment development. So the first thing is just that, get those measurable outcomes on paper. What is it that you want the students to demonstrate that they know how to do, right? The second piece is then when you develop your assignment, you are providing very clear and specific directions for, you're going to let them have choice, but you're also going to rein them in a little bit, because I know a lot of instructors worry about the idea of open choice assignments or offering a lot of choices because of how long that potentially takes to assess. If I'm letting them do all these, things, I could potentially get 50 different products, right? How do I assess this effectively? Well, some of that has to do with reining them in once you've told them they get some choices. So here's an example for the menu project. He's basically telling them you can use whatever software you want, Photoshop, Google Drive, whatever, Publisher. Or you can make it with physical materials, you know, make it out of crayons or cut pictures out of magazines or whatever. But then we specify below for the final product, if you did make something physical, you have to be able to translate that into a digital format. So either scanning it, taking a picture of it, making a video of it so it can be uploaded to Canvas. And then if it's electronic and you're using software or apps or whatever you found on the web that you wanted to use, it can't require the students to have some kind of login to or make an account in order to get to it. You have to be able to embed it or link to it or upload it directly into Canvas. So that helps to sort of give the students some parameters. If you give them too much freedom, a lot of them will panic. Like I was one of those panicky students. Like, what do you mean I can do whatever I want and choose whatever I want? Whoa, that's intimidating from the student perspective as well. So,
well, and I think the conversation that you and I had, Angela, was the fact that, you know, this is how I do it in my live class. These are the choices that they can have there. I want them to feel as though with the online version that they can do the same thing. And Angela is absolutely correct. All of the benchmarks, if you will, all of those specific choices that I need them to hit, like the logo, the main course, the drinks, the pricing, all of that's the same whether it's live or whether it's online. But then they get to choose their design aspect of, if they're in the live class, they get to use crayons. If they're in the online class, they can use crayons, but they have to upload it in this manner. So.
And I feel it's also important to tell the students that they are not being assessed on the tool that they choose to create their product, because some of them think, oh, if I just do the simple method, am I not going to get as good of a score as somebody who goes out and builds an entire website? And the answer to that should be no. It shouldn't, you know, it's not about the tool that you use, that unless one of your measurable objectives is related to
using that
technology
tool
of some kind.
Yep.
Then you would assess for that. But otherwise, the tool doesn't have anything to do with it. So they don't get more points if the fancier they get or the more elaborate their tool is. And it's good to tell them that, because some of them worry that if all I have time to do is Word, or all I know how to do is Word, I should be able to still get an A.
Right.
And then the third piece to assessing something like this is using the Canvas rubric tool, which is amazing. It's a little bit to set up, of course, but I can't stress enough the importance of using the rubric tool when you have these sort of open-ended choice assignments, because once you've built that rubric, I love how Canvas lets you just share it out to other assignments, other courses. So you might spend, you know, half an hour to an hour developing a series of rubrics, but those can then be populated to every course. And because those rubrics are focused on the measurable objectives, then it's going to expedite your grading process a lot. Any other comments, thoughts, concerns, things we should share about the developing student choice projects? Did I hit it all?
No, I think you did a pretty good job there. I love that. Yes.
Marvelous. All righty.
So Angela, we have a few people asking for your presentation, if you're willing.
Oh,
to do
absolutely.
that.
Just let me know where I need to send it, and I'm happy to share it out, send it out, and anything else that we're sharing here today. We're going to do a little collaboration project next, actually. So now we want to talk about some of the tools that Rodney is using to sort of allow the students to do this hands-on work and then submit it online. So I did create a little Jamboard. If you're not familiar, this is another Google thing. I'm a Google fanatic. I promise I'm not, you know, getting paid on the sly by Google. I just love their product. So I'm going to drop into the chat. This is an editable Jamboard. I've made a copy of this thing. So this is the one we're going to talk about, but kind of behind the scenes as we're talking about these tools, if you want to access the Jamboard and put your own ideas on here, what we were hoping and looking for was maybe you have other tools or ideas for students to demonstrate when they're doing hands-on kinds of things, you know, think internships and student teaching and nursing work, or in the hospitality management program. That's going to be our focus, but that's an interactive thing that people can just jump in there and start playing with. First up for us, though, that we wanted to expand on as these programs get put into place is use of the Canvas groups space. So if we jump into, this is sort of a work in progress version of Rodney's course. The idea of using the group space so that you can use the pages area. If you're not familiar with pages in Canvas, it basically lets you construct sort of a wiki inside of Canvas. You can build, the students can build pages of content, or they can add images, hyperlinks, text, whatever. So this was going to be one option they could use to construct their menu, as well as the idea that they could work in groups to build a menu. So if there's several students who want to work together on a similar themed style of menu, why not, right?
Sure.
So one of the key pieces for allowing something like that, though, is you want those clearly defined expectations for the group work. So that's a document where we would spell out, this is what needs to happen in the group work. And then we provided a Zoom session. If you want to work in groups, you need to be at this synchronous Zoom session so we can discuss who's working with whom and how that's going to work. And then we provided a tutorial video for working in the group space, because we can't assume that students have used the group space before, let alone made pages in the group space. That's a little more advanced Canvas knowledge. So we're scaffolding them, providing that video so that they know what they're getting into if they decide to use that method. GoPros, Rodney, GoPros.
So I wanted to find some way that I could actually show the live whatever that those students were doing. And we were granted 19 GoPros that I have strapped onto every student in lab class, in food and beverage management class, in events class. And we take those GoPros and we then actually have live footage of them doing the live hands-on applications that I need to see that they're doing it right so they can go work in actual industry. So it's been a lot of fun. Angela and I have come up with the thought process of really, truly, they can use their cell phones, they can use a digital camera if that's what they have, but we've tried to think of different ways of how they can capture that live action, that actual hands-on application, and upload it into Canvas.
So that's sort of a great segue into the student app here. I've put an image of the student app. If you are not familiar with the Canvas student app and the things you can do with mobile assignments, I strongly encourage you to go out to the Canvas community pages and look for mobile assignment options. But it's amazing what students can do just with their phone. So they open up an assignment and then they're ready to document something. They can record directly through their phone and submit it directly to Canvas. They can take pictures. They can record audio, and it's all just right there on the go, live. It's just one more method for them to get that real world stuff digitized and submitted directly to the LMS. And
so Angela, can I add to that? One of the reasons that I was approached 3.5 years ago to really look at the idea of possibly having an online hospitality, travel, and tourism sort of concept was because industry was saying that, and this was pre-COVID, as we know, industry was saying that they had so much turnover, particularly when students went back to school in August, that they would lose a percentage of their workforce. And was there any way that we could combine technology online with that hands-on component? And so my own little moniker, if you will, I kind of created what's called on-site online industrial education, to where students can actually take my courses as Angela and I have designed them through Canvas and use the GoPro, use the student app, use all of these different tools to capture that live hands-on application that I can assess, and those students can then work, live, and be educated at the facility, whether that's, you know, a resort in the middle of nowhere, or whether that's at a restaurant someplace. They don't actually have to be in my classroom, but I can use their professionals, industry's professionals, to assess the work through video, through photography, through student apps, and so on.
Exactly. Very exciting. That's another reason we have Zoom up here, of course, that we're all familiar with Zoom, if not overly at this point in our lives, right? But Zoom is another great way for a student to be working in industry, taking the class, and able to show live in the moment to Rodney a skill that they are learning in the course. So they either have a mobile device, laptop with a webcam, a computer with a webcam, whatever they've got that can use Zoom, pointing at what they're doing, and then they're recording and doing whatever it is while he's right there live with them, assessing their work.
Yep.
So, yep. Right now at LCSE, our online courses are advertised as asynchronous only. So students are not required per se to meet at the same time as the instructor, for live Zoom sessions. But with the growth of this program and the direction that Rodney wants to take it, the hope is that we will be able to actually advertise these as, there will be synchronous components,
Mhm.
but talking about the student choice and flexibility, the students, and we'll talk with Rodney and decide when those times and places and all that would be.
Right. And working with the students and working with the industry partners, we would say, hey, these are and I'm just using this as an example, these are the 4 synchronous classes that you have to be at. And so we would schedule that at the very beginning of the semester and work through it that way.
And we know this concept can be done because teacher ed programs have been doing it for a really long time. LCSC teacher ed program, students are working out in schools all across the country and being observed remotely through this kind of technology. So here we're just moving it to a different industry, which is fantastic.
Correct.
All right, last piece is this cool little virtual business block here. I'm going to switch over to a new tab and let Rodney talk about this really cool software, whatever you want to call it.
So what's really fun to do is once you finally get over that fear of technology will not work in my hands-on program, and you start to explore a little bit, you find things like these simulations out here. And Knowledge Matters happens to be this particular simulation program where they have hotel, you can run and operate a hotel through a simulation. You can run a food truck, you can run a restaurant, there's event centers, convention centers, all these different simulations that you can incorporate into that online course. I'm even looking at actually having these in my live courses as well, because they're really hands-on. Even though they are technologically based, you have to understand how they run. And if you're not marketing it correctly, or if your occupancy percentage rates are not what they need to be for the hotel, or your hotel price is too high, all of those things are interactive that you're learning in the course, and you get to physically apply those to your little pretend simulation. So there's some great technology out there to help you, build upon what you've already got. So great stuff like that out there.
And of course, this is an instance where this is not out there available for free. This is a price-based model. So that's one thing that his program is pursuing. But, it looks like it's definitely going to be worth the money there. And there are all kinds of things like that out there for hands-on types of situations. All righty. Do we want to jump over into our collaboration? Let's jump over there and see. Oh. No? We've got some extra pages maybe. No, people in there taking a look, but nobody brave enough to add anything. That's okay. That's all right. We can open it up for Q&A. We can go back. Is there anything else you can think of that we missed, didn't cover? Oh, don't really.
Oh.
All right.
They don't know how to go on to.
So Jamboard. Well, we have time. We can do a little lesson on Jamboard. So
yep, you have a few minutes.
This is another great tool that you can use with students, as well as delivering your own content. On the left-hand side, you have options for adding content to this, what they call a Jamboard. I'll make a new page here at the top. The most common one is just adding a sticky note where you can just type something into this note. So there you go. And you can change the color of the sticky note and hit save, and then your sticky note gets added to the collaboration, and everyone that has editing access to this document can do that. So if you do have an assignment idea or a tool that you really like, you can drop it in there just as a sticky note. You can also add images. So if you click the image button on the left, there's all sorts of options for using your camera, a Google image search, looking at Google Drive, Google Photos. That's how I found the picture of the GoPro camera, actually. I just searched for it and then selected one that I liked, told it to insert. And there it is. And I can resize it and angle it. So this is a really cool synchronous collaboration tool that you can use with students to build content together, or they can use it in groups to make content. You can make shapes, and then you can put text boxes inside the shapes, text, so on and so forth.
Fun. So Angela, how much time do we get to meet with our friends?
Until 1:50. So if we can take questions. If we want to go back and revisit the template idea, we can go back through and talk about the template in more detail. We can look at MyNomo in more detail.
Are there any questions out there that anybody would like to ask?
Made just a comment from Jennifer that I really like the focus on meeting students where they're at and helping them show what they know in ways that are real for them. Oh, no. Oh, sorry. So the updates are not going to show up in the shared document because I put them into our presentation version. I had 2 separate versions. That's okay. Yeah. So, oh, I see we've got some people getting in there. No, we've got extra pages, but you can also set backgrounds. So if we looked at a new page, we can go into set background. You can create dots or colors or upload an entire image of your own choosing to have as the background for a Jamboard.
Oh,
Angela, you have somebody that would like to ask.
Oh, absolutely.
open mic.
Please do hop on the mic. It's a lot easier a lot of the time.
Hi, Angela. I'm just curious about the asynchronous time with the students. So when you get in during the asynchronous time, do you like have an agenda? Like how long are you going to meet with them? How much of that time is going to be reserved for which part of the lesson? I'm just saying that do you have like a high level agenda of like, okay, I'm meeting with them for 30 minutes. 5 minutes are designated for questions, 10 minutes for a demo, and then so on. And how did you handle that synchronous?
I think it's more of a Rodney question.
sure. I'd be happy to answer that. So I am a little anal retentive when it comes to making sure that everything is outlined ahead of time. So the way that the online courses that I have piloted so far, as we're going through this process, the students know from the very beginning, from week 1, module 1, of what times will be asynchronous and what times and how that will be broken out. So there's a very clear definition of what those are. When I construct those classroom settings to where we're all together, whether that's live or through, say, Zoom, then everybody is scheduled to meet at that time. If it's in different time zones, of course, we have to work through that. And a lot of this is being designed as we go. Some of the questions that arise, we do not have all the answers to yet, but we try to be very clear and very upfront of what those pieces will be. I've taken all of my live courses, and everything we do in the live course is almost identically mirrored in the Canvas course. So whatever the live students are going through, if the online students were to follow it in that order, if they could, it would be exactly mirrored. Now, with being in industry, I give them leeway of saying, okay, there may be due dates for those live students on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but you have your due dates on Sundays or the following week, and I have worked all of that out. So did that help?
Yes, and I have a follow-up question. So do you have all of these live sessions, the synchronous sessions, are they all group synchronous sessions or are they one-on-one? Like, do you meet with a student on a one-on-one basis, either to provide feedback or to observe a demo? Let's say they're doing a demo on how to put a menu together, the physical location, or is that all done in the asynchronous setting?
No, so it is a combination of both. So the overall delivery is in the perfect world is a group session. Here at LC State, at Lewis Clark State College, we are also the advisors for those students. So then I also have in the discussion module of Canvas, that student can set a scheduled time to meet with me so we can work one-on-one. That's both live students as well as online students. And then if there's any additional time that student would like to schedule, I can do that as well.
Okay, but the agenda for that live session is essentially structured around his or her questions, not an agenda set forth by you.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
That kind of goes along with Josh's question in the chat. He was asking about what video platform students are using when they're uploading presentations for asynchronous types of presentations. And I'm going to jump back into Rodney's class and go back to the tip sheet here. So the main software that we promote them using for asynchronous presentations, when they're just going to record it and post it to Canvas, is actually recording through PowerPoint, because they can get that for free as LC State students. They can have the entire Microsoft Office suite for free. So it's something we know that every student can have access to. So we've got information here for them about how to get that software downloaded off of our institution website, basics for getting started with PowerPoint if they've never done it before, how to record audio narration over their presentation, how to save that as an MP4. And then because we are a Google school, we have them upload those to the YouTube account that's associated with their Gmail, their school Gmail. And we have instructions for doing that. If they are doing live presentations synchronously, then they're doing that through Zoom. And his other question, Rod, you'll have to address this. Have you had any students having trouble with this piece at this point? The recording?
I did, but it was more of a learning curve for them to actually do it correctly. So I found that if I, at the beginning of the semester, that first week that I have as my introductory week, we go through how they would do this. It seemed to alleviate some of those problems at the end. The one problem that I saw more than anything was the recording of their voice for the PowerPoint. The uploading to YouTube was fine. The PowerPoint presentation itself was fine, but the voice overlay seemed to be a problem.
And that's another reason why it's really important to have those technology requirements posted right up front. In fact, ideally down the road, as this program launches, these technology requirements would be posted alongside the course description in the course catalog, so students know upfront before even entering the program that you are going to need some things. You're going to need webcam. You're going to need a good microphone for recording and that kind of stuff. We want that as transparent as possible, because we don't want someone signing up for something and then realizing, whoa, I can't do this. But again, with the choice piece, we're not so restrictive with the technology that they can't use other things. So if a student has, like, maybe they like VoiceThread, for example, for doing presentations, and they have screen capture software on their computer, they're at liberty to use whatever they want to make that presentation, as long as they can get a link or a file upload into the course.
Correct. And they have a conversation with me about that.
Yes, and someone mentioned we did get some people adding Loom is a desktop capture tool.
Nice.
Yeah, I've heard about that tool. Haven't used it personally yet, but yes, I've heard that's a good one.
Well, and please remember, I have all of these great ideas and ambitions, and I have somebody as brilliant as Angela to help me with those, but I've only been an educator for 6 years in the realm of the world of academia. I've taught in the regular world for 40 years, but any thoughts or ideas on how to enhance this concept, I would be very, very open to hear any suggestions.
This is another example of some of the documentation we provide to the students in advance, how to upload and export that PowerPoint as an MP4 that can be uploaded to YouTube. So.
Any other questions?
And we're happy to share any of these documents as well. Let me jump back to our slide that has our contact information on it, because if you want to email us directly and say, hey, I'd really like to have XYZ out of your course that I saw as a sample, we're happy to share those things. So.
Yeah, love to share, love to share, love to share.
Ooh, Anchor is another. All right. Awesome. Any other questions, comments, something you want us to talk about again or show again before we wrap up?
Can we have a look at that to-go box, slide 7?
Oh, yes, sorry. That was thank you.
Nope, you have to just guess.
No. So yes, so this is our to-go box, our summary, sum up the big points here. Number one thing, reach out to your instructional designers, please. That is what we're here for. We love working with faculty. At least any instructional designer worth their salt loves working with faculty. I love to explore new tools and ideas. In fact, Mindomo was relatively new to me as of about a month ago. An instructor came to me and said, I need to do a concept map because we're planning a whole new nursing degree track. And I was like, okay, Google concept mapping tools. Oh, this one looks cool. And I learned it and shared it with them. And now I'm sharing it with you. And it's a great tool, but that that's what comes from those kinds of collaborations and being willing to ask those questions of your instructional designer. Don't ever be afraid to ask your ID for help, advice, suggestions, and yeah, you will be, I hope, pleasantly surprised at what you can come up with together. Item number 2 on here was the idea of developing a template for consistency in your program. That's a huge thing. We have been doing student surveys at the end of every semester for decades. And the number 1 student complaint with online learning has always been that the courses look different from course to course, and that they struggle with where to find things and how to get around because there isn't that consistent design. I think with Canvas, it's a little better than we used to be in Blackboard. Now we're in Canvas, and I'm not going to speak ill of the dead, but Canvas certainly seems to facilitate some consistency, and it's just in the way the module pages work a little more than Blackboard did. But I can't stress enough the importance of that consistency, especially within a program when you're finally, you passed your core courses and things like that, that you're removing that roadblock of students having to relearn the navigation and the structure every time they take a course. Again, your measurable outcomes, that's going to be huge for when you develop those choice assignments, because it's all about those measurable outcomes. What do I want my students to show me that they know how to do? And then how they show me or what they're showing me. If the outcome is, do a table dressing for an event, well, that event could be a wedding, it could be a bat mitzvah, it could be a baby shower, bridal shower, whatever. So it's not so much about what kind of event, it's these are the pieces that has to show. So, whatever.
Correct.
Rodney.
Angela, we have somebody else.
Oh, quick question. Yes, please.
I would like to ask a live question, Greg.
Yes, please. Jump on there. I'll yammer on forever about this stuff.
Well, Angela, real quick, I briefly heard you touch on when you were talking about the template, and you were also talking about quality matters kind of in the same sentence. I'm just curious, did you build the template in a way that permits certain standards that are in QM to basically be essentially just a checkbox at that point? The reason I bring that up is because I work at Colorado State University, and we use QM, we use Canvas, and what we did for faculty is we created templates, but inside of those templates, we also included the specific standards that those templates and pages met. So just throwing that out.
Yeah. We haven't gone so far as to actually label the items in the template, but they're there. So for example, within the module, for the module overview and to-do list, this is a placeholder item that's available in the template. So then they're just plugging in their own information, but we're saying, measurable objective 1, and then to-do list with examples of what would go into a to-do list with the home page, the short welcome, the getting started. So we've got a lot of text that's very QM aligned and friendly that they don't have to come up with on their own. It explains how to get started automatically. So we tried to build in as much placeholder stuff as possible that's really, it should be in every course. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. And
Okay.
I agree with your analysis. Thank you.
All right. Like in our course overview page, this is the idea that you're having your course level objectives here. And it's something that unfortunately, because of COVID, got a little backburnered, but I do eventually want to have a version of this that has those QM labels with it. So when people ask me, why is this in the template? I can say, hey, let's chat. I'll tell you exactly why. And have those QM labels in there.
Back to our to-go box slide. I have to agree with Angela that my students have really appreciated it in the few semesters that we've had that they've been using the Canvas, both live and the piloted OIE courses that are online that I'm using, that the consistency is always there. They don't have to always think about, how do I navigate this class? How do I navigate this class? Now, I do have some cross-disciplinary classes that are built within my associate's degree, and I can't really tell those educators how to build their Canvas templates, but my templates, my students can learn my construct of my template, and then they don't have to focus so hard on where to find the information. It's always, for the most part, in the same place. So they really like that consistency that's there. Yeah, I can't hear you, Angela.